In the year 2024, SpaceX aims to send the first humans to Mars, 55 years after man first set foot on the moon. While the Apollo missions only involved short stays on the moon, SpaceX aims to make Mars a permanent home for humans.
The percentage of intelligence that is not human is increasing, and eventually we will represent a very small percentage of intelligence. I try to convince people to slow down AI, to regulate AI. This was futile. I tried for years. Usually there'll be some new technology. It will cause damage or death. There will be an outcry. There will be an investigation. Years will pass. There will be some sort of insight committee. There will be rulemaking. Then there will be oversight, eventually regulations. This all takes many years. This is the normal course of things. This time frame is not relevant to AI. You can't take 10 years from the point at which it's dangerous. It's too late.
For the first group of astronauts heading to Mars, the journey is expected to take around 5 months. But what will they do when they get there? In this video, we're going to look at what needs to be achieved before we can send humans to Mars. We are also going to look at the initial structures and systems that astronauts will set up in order to begin colonizing Mars.
And look forward to doing a lot of interesting things in the future. I think it's actually it's cool that there is that the creation of the Space Force is happening. I think it makes sense that there's a major branch for every domain, with that, so the domain of space and the domain of air are both important, but I think space is certainly a medium of its own.
Sure.
I think there's some very exciting things that are possible. If I may just say, like, what the public wants, I think, and actually I'm pretty confident that the public does want this, is Starfleet Academy. Like, yeah, like how do we make Star Trek real?
This is the largest and highest resolution panorama the Curiosity rover has ever taken. It's made up of almost 1,200 individual images taken over 4 days. The rover's body is too close for the Mastcam's telephoto lens, but we were able to capture the rover using the other Mastcam lens. The higher resolution version is nearly 1.8 billion pixels. What I love about this panorama is that we can zoom way in and see details far in the distance. When you start to do that, you can see the rim of the crater we're inside of all the way to the north. Here's an impressive sight. 20 miles away is Slangpost Crater, just inside Gale Crater's rim. End to end, Slangpost is 3 miles wide. Something huge must have struck here. Whenever I start to think that Mars looks familiar, sites like this dramatic impact crater remind me that we're looking at a different planet. Curiosity is exploring a clay-bearing region on the side of a mountain. This ancient landscape was the site of lakes and streams billions of years ago. They left their clues in the finely layered, clay-rich rock.
Stay put for ice mountains floating in nitrogen, skyscrapers made of methane ice, high-definition images, and some strange revelations about Pluto. As part of NASA's New Frontiers program, the New Horizons interplanetary probe was sent out to the far reaches of our solar system with a single primary goal in mind. It would perform a flyby of Pluto, and in this video, we're going to go over some of the strangest things it discovered. Before the mission, the surface of Pluto had never been captured directly, and even the Hubble Space Telescope struggled to get an image due to the small size and long distance of the former planet. On January 19, 2006, the New Horizons interplanetary probe was sitting atop an Atlas V rocket at Cape Canaveral. Not only would the probe be launched at speeds that would make it the fastest object ever launched from Earth, it would become the 5th ever object to reach the velocity necessary to propel it out of the solar system entirely. While New Horizons' primary goal was Pluto, the probe would need to use the gravity of Jupiter to slingshot itself even faster, cutting down on the journey time by almost 3 years. NASA scientists used this gravity assist as a chance to test out some of New Horizons' scientific instruments. The probe was able to collect information on Jupiter's atmosphere, moons, and magnetosphere. While passing at a further distance than Galileo, New Horizons was able to take some incredible images of Europa, Ganymede, and even eruptions on the surface of Io. After this flyby, New Horizons went into low-powered hibernation mode, all the way until it arrived closer to Pluto for its all-important flyby on December 6, 2014. This is when NASA scientists activated New Horizons' full suite of instruments and performed a burn to set it on an approach course for the planetoid. Over the course of the next 6 months, New Horizons would approach closer and closer to Pluto. It had already started to capture images during this approach. As it got nearer to Pluto, the images became more and more defined, with scientists back on Earth getting the first look at details on the surface. On July 10, 2015, New Horizons reported back from Pluto with the data that would go on to make its first major discovery. For the first time, we knew for certain how big Pluto was. The planet has a diameter of 1,470 miles, slightly bigger than estimates had pegged the planet at before. Charon, Pluto's largest moon, was also given its first definite size, 750 miles in diameter. New Horizons wasn't just able to observe Pluto and Charon on its approach, though. It was also able to take notation of Pluto's other smaller moons. Nix, Hydra, Kerberos, and Styx were all charted by New Horizons as it drew closer to its primary target.
But one thing is for sure, we will not control it. Your phone is already an extension of you. You're already a cyborg. Most people don't realize they are already a cyborg. That phone is an extension of yourself. It's just that the data rate, the rate at which, or the communication rate between you and the cybernetic extension of yourself that is your phone and computer is slow. It's very slow. And that is like a tiny straw of information flow between your biological self and your digital self. You will be, at some point, indistinguishable from reality. If you assume any rate of improvement at all, then games will be indistinguishable from reality.
But then the funny thing is that it blew up. Like this truth is stranger than fiction. The satellite was shot through the fairing, arced through the air a couple hundred meters, and then plunged through the roof of a tool shed, and then landed on the floor. And was actually in reasonably good shape. I mean, for crashing through the ceiling, but you're like recognizable, and we gave it back, and so we've not lost one of your satellites.
So from a SpaceX perspective,
buff it out.
a partial mission success.
Yeah, it's like, well, it's not lost. I'm just saying, it's a little worse for wear, but but here you go. But then we subsequently launched future Falcon sats to actual orbit. That was great. So I think we can go a long way towards making Starfleet real and making these sort of utopian or semi-utopian futures real. But it will definitely require radical innovation. One can't get there by incrementally innovating expendable boosters. There's just no way.
Yeah.
So I think we need to push for radical breakthroughs. And if you don't push for radical breakthroughs, you're not going to get radical outcomes.